on. We got to move on. So something else, which I was excited about because we've been talking about him recently, Nicolas Cage. So Nick Cage is talking about what? Face Off 2. Yeah. So they've been talking about Face Off 2 for a while. Before, it was rumored that it was going to be a whole new reboot. We're going to start over again, do it again. Of course, that's Hollywood. Sometimes it's like we don't have an idea. Well, we'll look in the past and find what did well. What can we do now again? But Nicolas Cage says, no, we're going to do a sequel, actually. And here's what Nick Cage had to say about Face Off 2.
They're going to do a sequel that lends itself to a lot of twists and turns and unpredictability. It's almost like if you factor in the idea of offspring and Castor and Sean having children and these children grow up, then it becomes like three-dimensional chess. And then it's not just the two, John Travolta and myself, it's four of us ping-ponging and going at different levels, and it becomes even more complex. I think there's a lot of fertile ground there. I had maybe one meeting in an office, but I haven't heard anything since, so I don't know.
Yeah, and as this town goes again, people look at these old movies and say, hey, Nick Cage is in the news because he's doing that Renfield show. Movie's coming out. So that's coming up. So he's doing interviews for Renfield, and people are asking, like, well, what about Face Off 2? We've been talking about this for years. That might be fun. Him, Travolta, their kids, all swapping their faces. Now, the question is, are they swapping faces with their kids? Or are they swapping their faces again? Are their kids swapping faces? What's happening here? We do a little mix up? Maybe dad and the other kid and this dad and this one's kid? Sabrina, what do you think about this? Would you watch Face Off 2 if it was all this happening?
I literally just said I'm not a big fan of rebooting shit that happened already. That was really good. I am down for another National Treasure, though. For some reason, that doesn't bother me. Because it's not going to be some offspring weird story. Like, this is the thing. They have kids. The kids are going to face off. Everyone's facing. It's fucking stupid. I mean, I don't know. That movie honestly should not have worked, 25 years ago when it came out. But it really did. And it was really good in a weird way. And I really think you should leave it the fuck alone, personally. Leave it alone. But it was great. Walk away. You know what I'm saying? I'm good.
I don't think they will, though.
Well, they should. They really should. It was a miracle that it worked one time, honestly. A miracle. So just, cut the shit, do another National Treasure.
But it's Nick Cage.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take your face
I
off.
would watch it. I just don't think it's a good idea. Honestly. It was like John Travolta was playing Nick Cage. Nick Cage was playing Nick Cage. It was like a whole thing.
Yeah, to see how they portray each other. It's like them doing impressions of themselves, of each other,
I think you should definitely leave that one in the past.
I think that's what it was, though. It worked so well. If it was like Nick Cage playing Travolta and Travolta playing Nick Cage, and their interpretation of each other's style and their acting method was funny. It worked really well. And it was a good 90s action movie. I mean, that was a time where Nick Cage was like big, You had Con Air, we talked about.
Travolta,
he was doing The Rock, and Travolta was huge at that time. And that was kind of a good, like, two movie stars coming together and clashing, which really wasn't happening a lot. And that was the time.
The fucking premise is insane. Like the story is insane. The fact that it worked and that it still holds up to this day is insane. So Nick honestly would not touch that.
Going undercover playing him. And they had the whole lab sequence and they're changing their faces. I mean, it's a fun movie. If you haven't seen Face Off, go back. It's a great 90s action movie. It's a lot of fun.
But please don't make another
dialogue
one.
together. But what if it's one of those things where it just works? So it depends on the script for me. If the script is good, I'll watch it. We won't really know. I mean, it's been so long.
You can't recreate that.
It's always kids. It's always kids bringing their kids and let's do something.
I know, which is also annoying. It's like, now I have a child and they're going to do what I did. It's like, please stop.
Yeah, I know,
and don't
right?
force your children to do what you do too. Like, it's ridiculous.
I don't know. I would watch it.
Of course
I'd pop it in. I don't care if it's good or bad. I'm going to love it because I'm going to love to see those two on screen together. I don't even know when the last time. That was probably the last time they were on screen together. I can't think of another movie. If anybody knows another movie out there that they've been together since then, let us know because that's fun. Number one sucked and so number two. I guess CR didn't like Face Off. But the whole premise was...
second one.
Yeah, but the whole premise was like, this big big like criminal, and then you have this cop, and he's gonna go in there and get into the crime lord and be him and figure out how to take it down and get involved, and then
whatever.
But they had daughters in, didn't they? Didn't Travolta have a daughter, or Nick Cage had a daughter?
I literally saw the movie 25 years ago. I just like, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, enough is enough. Just stop with the remakes and the redos and the sequels and the crap. Like, please stop.
Go back and watch the movie.
The premise was ridiculous.
Everybody out there.
GR says people will watch anything, and he is absolutely right.
It's very true. It's very true. But it's a thing. Nick Cage says that he's at a meeting. Again, it's not official yet, but the fact that Nick Cage is talking about it and there's an idea out there, it means it could happen. Look at the Bill and Ted movie that came out. Bill and Ted, the third one,
God,
Face the Music.
So bad.
But Face the Music, they were talking about that for years, and that happened.
The daughters. See, again, children. Daughters,
yeah. But the kids were good. The ones that played the kids were pretty good. They actually were good interpretation of their acting. And again, that was a campy comedy as opposed to this would be a drama, I would think, a drama action film. Comedies might work better. And that movie was all right. It wasn't the best. And they had a script for years. For years. I remember talking to the guy who played Bill. He was directing for a long time. And he was like, we had a script. And this was like 5 years before it actually came out. He's like, we're really close. Crickets. And then the movie came out. And it came out during COVID. So, of course, it was directly to like streaming. And then you had to buy it or rent it. And then eventually it went out after that. And so it kind of maybe hurt the movie in the long run. But again, the movie wasn't the best. And the best song ever really wasn't the best song ever, I don't think. So
it was terrible.
What do you do? But again, Face Off 2, totally different. Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it won't. What does everybody think out there, huh? Would you watch Face Off 2? What was
Jake said call Arnold and have Face Off meets Total Recall. He said he'd eat all the popcorn.
I'd be down. I'd be down for that. Come on, bring in the Schwarzenegger. He can do it. The Governor himself. For Face Off 2. What do you think? Would you watch Face Off 2? Do you think this is a great idea? Do you think this is maybe something that should be left in the past and left alone and not brought up again?
I wish I was 10, GR. I wish I was 10 when that movie came out.